How's it going, guys? So I'm just messing around with the sliders in the background here, but this time I'm testing how jumping and height affect your ability to go up and trigger the spectacular catch animation. In my last video I said it was common sense, but I mean it's something I could test, so if I can test it, I'm going to test it. And before we get into that, I also did a little bonus kind of thing, whether or not holding down triangle or Y affects your ability to come down with the catch, or whether the computer is doing its own thing, you know? Because as soon as you throw it deep, it automatically shows triangle or Y. I wanted to see if holding it down made any difference at all. So here's those results. So as you can see here, there's not much of a difference between CPU and hold Y or triangle. My technique, basically what I've done online is I just bullet it high outside and then hold down triangle or Y. And you see that doesn't really change it. So I don't think how you get the ball there really affects your chance of coming down with it. I believe it's just like in my last test. Once you're able to trigger the animation, it doesn't really matter how the animation is triggered. As long as it's triggered, you kind of have the same chances of coming down with it. I use the same player, 99 Spectacular right here. So you see that didn't affect it. Okay, so now onto the height and jumping testing. You see the totals here. But what I did is I just threw it up, and all I counted was whether the animation was triggered and the guy touched the ball. This does not count if you catch it or not. I just wanted to test how often they'll be able to trigger the animation. I made the quarterback 99 in every stat to make it, I don't know, as accurate as possible. That's kind of the players we're going to be getting in a couple months. And I just wanted to make a baseline. I didn't want it to be reliant on whether or not the quarterback would throw it 50 yards away from the receiver. So you see here, I found something really interesting here. As you guys know, with route running, there's a hard cutoff between 95 and 96. There's no foot chopping. I believe there's a hard cutoff between 5'11 and 6 foot. You see that dramatic drop off between 5'11 and 6 foot, and almost nothing beyond 6 foot. So I don't think height beyond 6 foot matters too much, but I do believe there's a huge cutoff between 5'11 and 6 foot. And you see it's out of 60 attempts, so it seems pretty accurate to me. A lot of the times he just didn't really go up and get the ball. And all the height ones are done by me combining all the different jump totals I did. And here's the jump totals. 99 jump and 90 jump had very similar outcomes. You see 65 jump was significantly lower. So while I think jumping makes a big difference, for example, like the SS Jarvis Landry has low jumping, he might not be as good. I believe the biggest difference is height, whether he's 5'11 or lower or 6 foot and above. And then beyond that, obviously, spectacular catch, because that determines whether or not they come down with it once they trigger the animation. I'm personally going to be putting a lot more stock into spectacular catch than height or jump, as long as that height is above 6 foot and the jumping is like around 90-ish or higher. So just real quick, I'll show you guys the totals by height, and you'll see pretty consistent across the board. 5'11 is alright, but it's cut off between 5'11 and 6 foot. Anything below 5'11 is pretty bad, and anything above 6 foot's pretty similar. You see 7 foot did good there, but he's not especially better. You see here again, kind of average with 6 foot. And remember, this is just whether or not they trigger the animation. This isn't whether, this has nothing to do with they come down with the ball or not. I did the testing with that on Spectacular Catch in my last video, and you'll see that Spectacular Catch was the main thing, whether or not they came down with it. Height didn't have much to do with it. Jumping didn't have much to do with it. It's just Spectacular Catch and height, as long as it's above 6 foot. I think those are basically the only two parts of it. So nothing too crazy groundbreaking. It's nice to know that above 6 foot and below 6 foot, that's a little threshold there. But I don't think anyone is really using any 5'11 or shorter guys as their deep threat. The best guys still remain is Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, OBJ, the ones that are over 6 foot, and Finneran too. But yeah, that doesn't really change too much. I don't really think anyone was using Brandin Cooks as their deep guy. He comes down with it just because of speed, but he's not really mossing people too often. So that wraps it up for this test, and for now kind of wraps it up as far as aggressive catching with receivers. I'll be testing corners next. My song recommendation is going to be 1111 by Pell. That's Pell. I struggle with ELs, so stick with me.